What's your message to Michigan voters in terms of the economy? We have auto workers who are being laid off and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard.
You know, and let's not be encumbered by what has been when contemplating what we might still destroy. Kamala Harris doing local news interviews, local TV news interviews, including WISN in Milwaukee. Although that was not the WISN interview, but we'll get around to that. Yes, we will. Happy Hump Day to you all. You know what that means in the Clinton household? I know you know. And also here, Hump Day, that means it's Mailbag Day. It's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plant Show, too. And I have right in front of me a stack of many papers, including the mailbag questions for the day. Because it's Wednesday and it's Hump Day, and Hillary Clinton wakes up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on her linoleum kitchen floor with Secret Service agents standing over her, their knuckles on their belt, shaking their heads. Oh, what might have been, what might have been. Who's more terrible? You know, and this actually is going to come up in the mailbag. Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris? It's a crazy time we're living in, and politics, what an awful business. Now, you can see why no normal people go into the business. It is a pretty crazy business. But that's not important right now. We've got a lot more than that. However, did you see that Joe Biden had, he called Hillary and he says, you know, that deplorables thing, here, hold my Geritol, he said, hold my Geritol, because Joe Biden just decided to dial it up to 11. He's not a bright man. He's not a smart man. But now all Trump supporters are garbage. They're garbage, I tell you. We're all garbage, and that's, you know, that's what the Nazis said. That is the kind of rhetoric that Adolf Hitler used, and who else? That Goebbels guy. Goebbels, I think he used garbage. He called, who did he refer to as garbage, Michael? He called people garbage. I think it might have been the Jews. The Jews. And the Democrats are out there at Kamala's rally last night. There was a big anti-Jewish rally right there in the crowd. The news media is ignoring it. But they had the anti-Israel mob in the middle of the Kamala crowd. And there were at least two people that were thrown in the hoosgow, in the can. They like it in the can. They were thrown in the can for assaulting police officers last night on the ellipse at the Kamala rally. How long will this go on? For how long will this go on addressed by the Democrats? Stop assaulting the police. You animals, you savages, you pigs. Pig dogs. I always like pig dogs. Schweinhund. Schweinhund. It's an old German, slur of some kind. We have remarkable things for you today, and it's Kamala had her big rally. It was all about uniting the garbage of the world, of the country, with Democrats who are demanding that Israel be wiped off the map from the river to the sea, and then they call you Nazis. It's amazing stuff. And they slaughter 1 million babies a year, including about 40% of the black babies in the womb. And then they call you Nazis. It's quite remarkable. So, yeah, Joe Biden, and also this was quite peculiar because Kamala Harris was having this rally on the Mall. There were at least 27 people there. And the Democrats, they say it was the biggest. They're talking crowd size. You notice this? They're obsessed with the size of the crowd last night. They've got some issues, a lot of issues all over the place. And they're talking about crowd size, and it was real big. It was real big. It wasn't nearly as big as Donald Trump's crowd on January 6th, where he asked people to go peacefully and patriotically down to the Capitol to let their voices be heard. But never mind that. They were out there, and they had the, death to the Jews, death to the Jews. The whole, they say they're pro-Palestinian. Being pro-Palestinian right now means you're pro-Hamas and pro, Hezbollah's Lebanese, but they're still pro-genocide against the Jews because against Israel, wiping Israel off the map, off the face of the earth, from the river to the sea, the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea. Most Democrats don't know the river, don't know the sea, but they're not a bright bunch. Remarkable thing. So a lot of them out there, the news media is not going to talk about the anti-Israel pro-radical Islamic jihadi terrorist rally that took place within the Kamala rally. And there were people flying in from around the country for Kamala's speech. What's up with that? Who was paying for their plane tickets? Was it? And did the unions bus people in, which they very often do? They get big bunch of buses and bus them in from Pennsylvania and from Michigan and stuff like that. But never mind that. We'll get back to that because those crazy Democrats, they're a wacky bunch. There's no doubt about it. Womp, womp, womp. And so we got, and Joe, oh, wait, because she was holding the rally on the Ellipse. And it was her big, it was pitched, I think they pitched it as a unity, her message of unity, her unity rally. And she demonized, I'd say 87 to 92% of the country, demonized and vilified and used harsh language. It seemed that the lexicon was beyond her lexicon because she's not very bright. So I think her writers came up with the invective that she spewed last night. It was Hitler-like. It really was Hitler-like in so many ways. And I don't know if you know this, but the scene where she held her rally last night was right in Washington D.C. and there was Pennsylvania Avenue right there on the other side of the White House. And the historians will note, I think, that her rally was held in the same location where the KKK marched. The KK, the K which the Democrat Party created. Their boy Nathan Bedford Forrest, and Forrest Gump was a descendant of Nathan Bedford Forrest, too. I don't know if you're aware of that, but in the movie Forrest Gump, they do a funny little scene where the KKK comes ripping through town on horseback with bullwhips and torches, and it's done for a little laugh because, the Democrats, and they love their history, even though they try to bury it with a shovel in a shallow grave. But the KKK had a big march in Washington, D.C. It was full of Democrats in the 1920s, and Kamala decided to hold her rally. Can you believe it? It's almost unbelievable. The KKK and Kamala holding her rally. I was frightened. Shiver me timbers, I said yesterday. I can hardly believe she's holding her rally where the KKK marched in the 1920s. And they created the KKK. Let's keep that in mind. And the KKK had pretty much died out by 1920 or so until Democrat progressive President Woodrow Wilson brought them raging back on horseback. They like it on horseback, No, just, marauding, not the other thing. But quite remarkable stuff because, the Democrats, they hate our history, but we should remind them of their history all the time. Kamala Harris to deliver her closing speech at the DNC Mall, directly where the KKK rallied in 1924. 1924, can you believe that? The KKK, which the Democrats created. And that's remarkable. And End Wokeness pointed this out yesterday with a photo of the KKK marching in 1924 with the Capitol, U.S. Capitol Dome in the background. And it was a big Democrat rally. The Democrats love death and mayhem and murder and lynching. And and that's the only thing they can really say they love. They don't love much else. They don't love the country. It's remarkable stuff. Yes, it is. And they were having the rally, and there are a bunch of Jew-hating, pro-Hamas, pro-jihad lunatics there because they love them. Hey, look at that. And look who's there. Isn't that amazing? And so there were at least 2 arrests because what appeared to be a married couple, a man and a woman, violently attacked the police. And they assaulted police officers, and they were arrested by the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. We call them the MPD, the MPD, Metropolitan Police Department. The MPD made the arrests of these 2 Democrats that were there. Were they part of the Jew-hating pro-jihad? I don't think they were. I don't think they were part of the anti-Semite mob that was folded into the mob on the site where the Democrats had a KKK rally in 1924. But that's not important. It actually is important, but never mind that. It's, Kamala now with a K, keep in mind with a K, and the KKK then, now they just reduced it to 1K, which is pretty remarkable. So I've got that for you. And there are a lot of A lot of wacky things that the Democrats have done in the last 24 hours. Kamala had a rally. She said a bunch of nasty, mean-spirited, awful, she hates you all kind of rhetoric. Because why is it full of she hates you all rhetoric, Michael? Oh, it's because she hates you all. And Democrats want you to vote for crazy, unintelligent, unserious leaders that hate you all. Donald Trump doesn't hate you all. Donald Trump is, sometimes eccentric. He's a New York billionaire. But he's on our side. He's on Team America. And I vote for the leader who's on our side. Joe Biden doesn't know that there are sides. Oh, but while Kamala was talking on the side of the KKK rally in 1924, and Joe Biden decided, we've been talking about this since Kamala became the candidate by whatever means. Joe Biden keeps popping up at the strangest times at the White House to hold press availabilities, which he never holds, while Kamala is holding rallies that are being covered live by CNN and MSNBC, right? And if she's doing an event that's being covered live on cable television, suddenly Joe Biden is, in the Roosevelt Room, bring the cameras in. And it's been hypothesized, theorized, it has been suggested that Joe Biden's doing it on purpose to undermine her since she stole his job and everything. And there aren't many of those jobs available. There's only one. So, and Joe really wanted it. He liked it, and his wife likes it even more. Cobra, clamshell. But Joe Biden last night, while Kamala was on the mall, did it again. He decided to get in front of his laptop and turn the camera on with a really weird camera angle, and it was up on a bookshelf or something. And suddenly Joe Biden is rambling incoherently about who knows what in the middle of her rally. Why in the middle of her rally? This is her big closing argument where she's going to tell us all how much she hates us. And Joe Biden came in and he called all Americans that support President Trump garbage. And now the White House is lying about it because they lie all the time like communists. They lie like Soviet communists. Giant, big, fat, and sometimes skinny, scurvy liars, and synonyms, amazing stuff. But Joe Biden, for some inexplicable reason, decided that would be the perfect time to go online and to upstage the Democrat candidate who is the de facto crooked backroom nominee. And when I think backroom nominee, I think of Kamala and Willie Brown, don't you? Because it's all those words go together. These are words that go together well. And remarkable stuff, amazing stuff all over the place. So 2 people arrested at the rally for assaulting police officers, and that's fine. The news media loves the idea of Kamala. Kamala Harris draws massive crowd at Ellipse, notches larger audience than Trump's January 6th rally in same spot, campaign says. That is a fatuous, absurd lie. This took place in a phone booth compared to the Trump rally on January 6th, which they're still having apoplexy about, but never mind that. And I mentioned to you yesterday that Kamala Harris went on another racist broadcast with Charlemagne, the misspelled God. He misspells the word "the," and he calls himself he names himself after a European emperor, which is kind of interesting. But never mind that. And Kamala went on there, and Charlemagne, the misspelled God, asked Kamala Harris, "How often do you say to yourself, man, beep Donald Trump?" It's the F word. F Donald Trump. That was the question, because those are kind of hard-hitting interviews that she's doing. She should really do an interview. I think Willie Brown should interview her, don't you think? That'd be good. Hey, the clock is ticking out loud if you haven't voted. And also news out of North Carolina, with all the Republicans voting early in North Carolina, the Democrats are now pulling millions of dollars in ads out of the state. Apparently, they've decided they're going to lose North Carolina. So they're pulling the money and they're going to buy crack with it. They're coming to D.C., which will help our economy. More crack sales in D.C., good for our economy here. Amazing stuff. Yes, sir, in Oklahoma, the head of schools is taking Kamala Harris to task, demanding $474 million. because that's how much it's cost them to put all the illegal aliens in their schools. Never mind the murders and the rapes and the gangs and the drugs and all that the Democrats are bringing to life. Amazing stuff. And Election Day is a week from yesterday. We're inside of 1 week, and we continue to be at 888-630-9625. All right, then. I don't think I have the Wuhan Red Death or anything, but my best girl, she got a little, throaty and sinusy, and then I got a little throaty and sinusy. So I took Dayquil today. I never take stuff like that, but I took a little Dayquil today. So I might be, a little speedy or something like that. And I might sound a little throaty because of it. So I just wanted to alert you. But it's not the Wuhan, I don't think. I don't think it's the Wu. Let's go to the telephones. Enough about me. Let's go to Kevin, calling from Reston, Virginia. Kevin, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Man, I hope you and your girl get better soon.
You bet.
Feel better. You sound great to me. Hey, I'm a first-time caller to your show, long-time listener. I'm retired federal law enforcement, did 30 years.
Excellent.
But you cracked me up. I've been trying to get in to tell you about the real truth about, the former Marion Barry. You joked about how we give out the free turkeys. Well, when I was in law enforcement, we were cleaning up the violent crime, 94 to 95. It was really bad in D.C.
Yeah.
And to get, it was my idea of community policing to get the public housing tenants to like the police and stuff. So they came around with Thanksgiving, and I remember WKRP when they were doing their advertisement radio show, that comedy, and they were giving out free turkeys. They dropped them from the helicopter.
Yeah, Les Nessman dropped them. Yeah, I swear on the altar of God, I thought they could fly.
Yes. So, that was messy. So I said to the guys, hey, let's give out free turkeys to all the public housing tenants. And so we got that together, and we gave them out to everybody. And then next thing you know, the Marion Barry is running for office, and he takes my idea, and he gives out free turkeys to all the public housing tenants the next year. I'm like, that was my idea, and he stole it. So it kind of sounds like Kamala. She might try to steal, an idea like, free tips, no tax on tips.
Right.
And then on top of that, I'm doing surveillance in a project, and all of a sudden these charter buses come rolling in, and on the speakers are like, hey, everyone, free food and free money, come in and vote for Marion Barry. Come on, we'll get you to vote, register to vote, and vote for Marion Barry. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, this guy, I can't believe he's doing this. And it turned out that's how he won his last election.
So it's your fault. Is that what you're saying? Then there was the free crack. Free crack really put him over the top. Yeah, the White House, they've introduced an apostrophe to Joe Biden's slur and smear of tens of millions of Americans, 100 million Americans, as garbage. Hillary Clinton with deplorables, Joe Biden with garbage, tens of millions of garbage. I'm not sure I believe this, but I heard that they may fire on Fort Sumter today. The Democrats may fire on Fort Sumter again. They fired on Fort Sumter long ago, and it led to some troubles. Still trying to get over some of those. The Democrats broke away and created the Confederate States of America because they wanted to bullwhip their slaves some more. You know how they are. They're still like that, aren't they? Yes, they are. Now they like illegal aliens to cut their lawns and clean their dishes, and now they use riding crops rather than bullwhips. I don't know why exactly. Because, Uncle Cracker. All right, let's go. We've got a lot of audio to get to. We have the mailbag today, and we're going to get to Joe Biden slurring the American people and the idiot, corrupt news media flagrantly lying once again, because that's their role in our culture. Let's go, in the meantime, let's go to the great American people. Let's go to Dan, calling from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Daniel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. I'm just calling in real quick because, with the push for us trying to get in there and do early voting and, get, what our choices are recording ahead of time, it strikes me as funny that even though I've been in the Marine Corps for 23 years, and I'm a registered voter in Erie County, New York. This is the first year that they haven't just pushed me a ballot. They push ballots out all the time. They mail them out constantly. They throw ballots out there just so they can try and get votes back. But as a registered conservative voter, this is the first year I haven't received my ballot. And I've been calling for like the last 6 weeks, trying to talk to the voting county office, trying to get my ballot in, and they're just not doing anything about it.
Wow.
And it just like goes to show that, like, even though we all know that they're doing whatever they can to try and make sure that Kamala Harris gets across the line, there's things going on that, and of course my case might be anecdotal. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but that's literally what's happening to me.
So
and it's just frustrating because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's frustrating because.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, I requested my ballot. Like, I'm supposed to done every single thing that are according to, like the federal and DOD guidelines to make sure I get my ballot. And every single time I call the office to get it, they have some other reason as to why it hasn't been mailed out yet. So I don't know how many people that's happening to, but, it's just another sign of like the level that they will go to try to, get the result that they want.
To corrupt.
And my vote might not go anywhere in New York anyways, but at least I should have the opportunity.
Well, you serving in the Marine Corps for 23 years, I think, you've earned the right to vote. I think that's fair to say. And now, are you on a Marine Corps facility in North Carolina? So the mailing address would indicate that you're in the Marine Corps, and then some Democrat in New York could look at the mailing address for your mail-out ballot and say, well, just boom, that one gets tossed?
I am. However, I also file my taxes in New York every year, so they know exactly on multiple levels exactly where I'm living, what my voting registration is, all that kind of stuff. So, again, it might just be anecdotal, might just be a mistake for just me, but I wonder how many people out there might be going through the same thing.
Right, whether there are millions of anecdotal stories just like that anecdotal story.
Yes, sir. Now, I do have one more question for you.
Yes,
and
sir.
this is on kind of like a different
of
side of things because I don't get to listen to you live every single day because sometimes my duties preclude me. However, I wonder, based on the information dominance of the left, when they're going to try and change the phrase Hail Mary Pass so that lefty fans of the Washington Redskins don't have to thank the mother of Jesus Christ for their win over the Bears.
Well, they would protest if, that is a really fun question and a great point because the Redskins on Sunday, and I was at the game. I don't know if you were listening on Monday, but I was at the game, and my two brothers from Chicago came in, and we went to the game together. And the Redskins, last minute, it was quite an amazing moment, honestly, and the Hail Mary pass. But you're right. How long will they tolerate this religious reference in sports? They can't have that in the public realm. There is a high school coach in Washington State that tried to take a knee and say a quick prayer after his high school kids, the football game, and every week just a quick prayer. Thank you for my young men not being injured. And the Democrats protested to the point where they took him to court and they sued him and they tried to prevent him from saying a quick prayer after a high school football game. And they took him all the way to the Supreme Court trying to prevent him from practicing his faith, which is, by the way, the first element of the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights in the United States of America, and the Democrats will fight against it hammer and claw, hammer and sickle. They will try to tear down your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, and on and on. In fact, we had audio yesterday of Kamala Harris saying that that's what Republicans are doing. They want to take away your First Amendment rights and your Second Amendment rights. I'm like, where this woman is insane. But you make a great and fun point, Dan, on the Democrats tolerating a Hail Mary pass at a Redskins game. Wow.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for your time on the phone, Chris. Actually, my gunny's sitting here telling me I need to get outside because we're about to give an award to Sergeant Johnson, and I'll just give her a shout out real quick. She's getting ready to execute orders to a reserve station out in Texas, and we need to give her a couple of awards before she gets out the door and gets going.
That is
So,
a very good
I
thing.
don't
Much
know. I've just
more
been in long
important.
enough that I want to keep on passing that, positivity forward to our younger generations and keep on letting them know that there's those of us out there that, care about them, their future. We're out here fighting the good fight still, even though we're not technically in the war and terror anymore. But we got lots of good. There are still great generations of Americans that are choosing to serve their country, and I just want to say thank you to all of them.
Well, you are great, and when the gunny calls, you respond because that's the way the world works, and senior NCOs and all that good stuff. And you gotta go honor the young woman as well. That's great stuff. Saluting you, Dan. God bless. And we got people downrange in Syria and various other places. We got people in Iraq trying to stabilize the most unstable region in the world. The Democrats are funding the bad guys there in Iran, but never mind that. Dan, great call. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. There are so many wacky things to get to. Now, I got to say, I think that before we get to Kamala doing her Hitler rally on the same place where the KKK marched, was it more of a KKK rally than a fascist Hitler Nazi rally, or which was it? More Nazi, more KKK? As it is where the KKK marched and rallied in 1924. And that's what she chose. Why did she choose that location? She should have worn a pointed hat. Those pointed white hats, those are Democrat hats. They're not just dunce caps. They show that you're a Democrat, a member of the Democrat Party. But I think we want to play Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, while Kamala was trying to deliver her closing argument, right? And they always use these ridiculous terms that they gin up, and then all the media parrot the Democrat Party terms and turns of phrase and talking points and so on. But while Kamala was on the ellipse, demonizing everyone, Joe Biden was right behind her in the White House. He could look out the window from the Oval or from the private residence and see the Kamala rally going on there and grimacing, thinking, she stole it from me. I should be down there. This was my nomination. I would have been a better candidate. Like Joe Biden talking to Barack Obama at the funeral service for, the Kennedy family matriarch and Ethel Kennedy, and whispering to each other, I would have been a better candidate. I would have been a better nominee. And he's like, yeah, Joe, you're a maroon. You wouldn't be a better anything. But never mind that. Joe Biden is inside the White House while Kamala's on the ellipse, and he decides to go online. And he's still technically, believe it or not, the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, the most powerful man on the planet Earth. And Joe Biden inside on his laptop telling the world that people that support Trump are all garbage. And then they made up a lie. No. If you put an apostrophe in here, then it's not what you think he said. So here's Joe Biden on his laptop last night while Kamala is holding her biggest event ever on the ellipse with the White House behind her, trying to look presidential, failing horribly like a communist in the Hugo Chavez regime in Venezuela. They might have actually filled the ellipse with Venezuelan gang members. They could have. How many Venezuelan gang members have the Democrats brought in to rape and steal and murder? And here's Joe Biden. Again, Kamala's out the window right now in real time. And while Joe Biden goes online to say this crazy stuff.
Oh, the Puerto Rican that I know.
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware.
Wait, hang on. Pause that there. Because he's saying the Puerto Rico where I'm from. We're going to have to start that over again because you got to listen to this part carefully. He's talking about Puerto Rico. The other night, and we talked about this yesterday, we played the audio yesterday, this comedian named, what's his name, Hinchcliffe, made a joke about the garbage crisis in Puerto Rico, which has been ongoing for years. And he said, oh, yeah, the floating pile of garbage. It's an island called Puerto Rico, something like that, right? So Joe Biden is making reference to this comedian at the Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, who made a joke that was impolitic, I would say, and not good for a political rally. But he's making reference to actual news stories in the New York Times and the Washington Post on NPR about the garbage crisis on the island of Puerto Rico.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And the crowd disapproves of the joke, and he's a grimace, and there's no laughter. And he's like, sorry, I didn't mean to. But the Democrats have seized on this like the fascists that they are, and they're misrepresenting it. So Joe Biden last night, while he's stepping on Kamala Harris's message, he decided, now listen carefully at the beginning. He starts to say, Puerto Rico, where I'm from, right? Because, he's told us that he grew up, didn't he tell us once he grew up in the Puerto Rican community? And then he grew up in the Jewish community, and he grew up in Pennsylvania, and he grew up in Delaware, and these politicians are very chameleon-like. They're quite extraordinary. They shed their skin twice a day and reemerge as whatever they want to be.
We have a very, in relative terms, large Puerto Rican population in Delaware. And so I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home, politically.
Yeah, he was raised in the Puerto Rican community at home. They lie like chameleons if chameleons could talk. Most of them cannot. There's a gecko. I know there's a gecko that can talk that's on TV, but that's different. So Joe Biden yesterday, while stepping on Kamala Harris's big event on the ellipse, looking at the Washington Monument with the White House behind her, Joe Biden looking out the window, say, I can step on this, I can step on her. I'm going to go online right now and say crazy stuff. So Joe Biden said, and he starts to accidentally say, he catches himself, but he starts to say that he grew up in Puerto Rico.
The Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware,
where I'm from,
they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable. And it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
Yeah, on everything we've done. You're the Klan. You're the SDS. You're the Weather Underground. You're Antifa. You're the Confederate States of America. You're Jim Crow. The only thing contrary to everything you've done is good stuff, all the good things. But, yeah, you start to say where I'm from, in Puerto Rico, where I'm from. His brain is broke. She's so broke. She's no good, that brain of his. And when he leaves, what's he going to do? Maybe he won't leave. He'll dig his fingernails into the leather desktop on the Resolute desk, and they'll have to take him by his ankles and drag him out. He'll be pulling the desk toward the door of the Oval Office. I hope there's a camera in there when all that happens. And amazing, amazing stuff. So where's the short version of it? Because he says that you and I and 100 million Americans, 200, if I were a Democrat, I'd say 270 million Americans are garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Now, again, if you bother to Google Puerto Rico garbage crisis, you'll find stories from NPR and the New York Times and the rest going back for years and still ongoing now, because as an island, they have a problem with dispensing with their trash, their garbage. There are toxic waste issues. There are big garbage problems. Now, that doesn't mean it's a good joke to tell at a political rally if you're on the side of the person that invited you, but never mind that. Now, so that's what Joe Biden said. And the garbage show is, and he's, angry Joe. He's on the front lawn with a rake. He's out of his mind. And now the Democrats are doing everything they can to spin it. On CNN this morning, they had a hack on there to lie for the Democrats. Franklin Leonard is, he's allegedly an academic or something, and he's supposed to be smart, and he's on the set on CNN this morning, and he's trying to explain away the new deplorables moment from the Democrats, demonizing, vilifying, dismissing, and calling hundreds of millions of Americans garbage. And here's Franklin Leonard's attempt at dismissing this.
Joe Biden has never been a big arena speaker. He's never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there.
Obvious.
He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves.
What? I'm sorry, what? There's an apostrophe. There's a magic invisible apostrophe. And if you attach an apostrophe to supporters, then you see that he's not talking about, what did he say? That doesn't make any sense any way you slice it. Democrats are dumb. I think that's the inevitable conclusion that we all must come to. Isn't that extraordinary? I haven't gotten to Kamala. We have President Trump for you. And tick, tick, tick. There's an election coming. Have you voted early yet? Wait till you hear what's happening in North Carolina with early voting.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Somebody sent out a tweet for Joe Biden last night saying earlier today, meaning tonight, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage. No, you referred to the American people who support Trump as garbage, but they're spinning it. And they're saying, no, if you put an apostrophe on there and then complete his sentence for him, then it comes out very differently. And that's why Chucklehead is no longer the candidate for the party of the KKK. Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Richard, calling from Chantilly, Virginia. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Okay, hi. I'm
hey.
in a car here. Anyway, you like thinking up words? Okay, we all know what lame duck is. And I was just wondering if two scenarios. One, Kamala loses. What will that make President Trump? And if Kamala wins, what does that make President Trump? What do you think?
Let me see. If President Trump wins, when President Trump wins, he will be the president-elect, right?
Right.
And if Kamala should somehow win the presidential election, she would become the vice president and presidential-elect, right? The president-elect, right?
Yeah. Well, would she? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, sure. What else would she be?
I guess you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because she'd be the president-elect. That's right. Elect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then she could give another unifying speech. They told us the speech last night was going to be a unifying speech. And, Richard, I'm going to play for you her message of unity when we come back.